Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Happy Tuesday. I know it's a little sadder than usual for you.
It's a day. It was a game. That's all.
Okay. Tom's Buffalo Bills lost last night in a really exciting game with a 25 to 35 mile an hour wind that certainly played a role in the game. And he was crying earlier, but he's picked up the pieces now.
Wait a minute. Was I crying about the game? Or I was crying about the coverage of the game?
You were crying about the coverage. Yes, correct. I was trying to just give some emotion to our broadcast. That's all.
You mean your little gyration at the start doesn't give us enough emotion?
Oh, that's okay. Fair.
But that's okay.
Fair. All right.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm going to steal this from you. Welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, or our cast that is both broad and pod, as Bob loves to say. We will have a conversation around our topic. Our topic this week is value of an hour. We had a great conversation about it yesterday, about really what it means. Today, we're going to talk about why it matters. And before we get to that, we've got a few other things to take care of. So if you are listening to the podcast, we would love for you to share it with others and rate our podcast, because that will help get the conversation and the information out to others. If you are watching the broadcast on either LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, feel free to... What's that?
LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, you haven't done that in a while.
I haven't. You haven't said it.
I know. Please feel free to share a comment around our thoughts, because we know that will not only add to our show, it will also benefit someone out there. And then at the end of the show, we'll each do our one thing that hopefully you can use to move forward when you are struggling with whatever the topic may be. So all that being said, Bob, as we always do every day, what are we celebrating today?
Hey,
what are you celebrating today?
I am celebrating the joy that my cat brings me. Now, I know that sounds really weird, but my cat loves to hop onto my bed and be nestled at my feet when the weather's cold, and my cat likes to play, and my cat loves for me to feed her. She's very eager for that. And I don't see her all the time because I've been at a different location for a couple weeks, and when I come home, it's nice to have the cat who just likes to come up against my legs and rub against my legs and just be like, I don't know, cat-like. And I also am fascinated by cats because they don't care what you do. It's all about them.
It's interesting that you're fascinated by an animal that doesn't care about anything but themselves.
I just find it's just fun to guess what they'll do or not do. And yeah. So how about you? What are you celebrating?
So I am celebrating that that I could watch a game. I could watch my Bills play last night. Because I live in Baltimore, I don't always get to watch all the games. So I got to watch the game. And that I realize I can't control the results. So I can be disappointed, they're frustrated or bummed that they lost because I wanted them to win. And at the same time realize that I can't control that. That all I can control is sitting and watching and trying to enjoy the opportunity to watch a good football game on TV. So I am going to go with my celebration of listening to my own thoughts and ideas about results, and that we can't always control the results. So
I like that.
Enjoy the opportunity. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. I like that. And our national celebration today, Tom. Now, of course, there's a very serious commemoration today, and it is Pearl Harbor Day, which is a very serious day in our country. And I certainly want to recognize anyone who's affected by that and their families. It was a really horrible thing. But I wanted to also bring us something fun. So today is also National Cotton Candy Day. Now,
In the winter. Interesting.
Now, I'm going to tell you, Tom, this is a little known fact. I have never tasted cotton candy.
Wait, what?
Not once. It does not appeal to me. The whole idea of cotton candy has, like, I love how, you form it. I think that's really cool that they can make it the way they make it, but I've never tasted it.
You were never tempted as a kid to just have some, just to be like, hey, let me at least try it, see what it's like?
No, not at all.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I just it looks cool, but that's about it for me. And I know people go to the fair and they have cotton candy and they love it and it's a big deal. And I'd rather have funnel cake.
Good to know. Get all these
That's
helpful hints so that when we're at the beach, when we go to Disney for our retreat, I won't buy cotton candy.
You won't have that opportunity, I can assure you.
You never know. You never know.
All right.
Never.
All right. So we've been talking about the value of the hour, which if you think about it, Tom, an hour is a finite amount of time. It's 60 minutes. And we can use that time any number of ways. We can be very productive. I've had 60 minutes before where I've written amazing stuff, where I've made a really great call. And I've had 60 minutes where I've watched the Twitter coverage of the football game, which I would put at the other extreme, and everything in between. But what I think I find myself doing is not always evaluating those hours of time and what they really are. So let me give you an example. This morning, I have a client that I was talking to this morning, and I'm going to do a facilitated workshop for him. And I gave him a price for each day for, 3-4 days. I gave him a price that made sense to me. It was, in my mind, a lot of money. But when I got off the phone, I said to myself, if I do these workshops all day for these 3 or 4 days, I'm not going to be able to do a whole bunch of other stuff. It locks me out of those other things. And 4 days of facilitating workshops in a row, 4 days, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of mental work. And I think I undervalued myself in that. And it wasn't, even though on one level, it would be like, really? You're going to make that much money if you did this in 4 days? Wow, that's a great week. Heck, that's a great month. But I didn't look at the full effects. And I don't think I valued the hour the way I should have or could have. I don't know that I'm making sense. I'm trying to make this more concrete because we've been talking about yesterday. I felt like it was a little more out there. So I'm trying to bring it into something concrete.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, there. I understood a lot of that. I think that, unfortunately, I guess once we choose to do something, we have also chosen not to be able to do other things. Correct.
Correct.
So
yes.
I mean that there is that choice that at some point we make. Someone calls you up and asks you to come and do something. Okay, well that means if you say yes, you have already decided there's a whole bunch of other things you can't do. And I guess we could, and we don't always know what those other things could be. For example, you took this opportunity. What could happen is someone else could come by and be like, hey, Bob, we need a keynote speaker in the middle of those 4 days. I need you to be on site all 4 days, and we're going to pay you $25,000. You could look back and be like, man, I undervalued myself. And when you made the initial decision, you made it based on the information that you had.
Right.
You didn't know that was going to come. And if you chose not to do it or to ask for more money because you think something else might come along, you might end up missing out on an opportunity. So I think that there's the other part to that is that the value of an hour is not just the 60 minutes. In this case, it's the prep work for it, right? So you're saying someone might look at it and say, well, you're only going to speak for 4 hours. You're doing 4 presentations for 4 hours. Well, yes.
This is actually facilitating a discussion each day.
Okay. And that may have enormous value to someone else.
Oh, yeah.
And the other piece it could have is that it could take you a number of hours to prepare for that, whatever that might be. Yes, it's an hour, and that means that you probably have to log on at whatever half an hour before. Chances are there's follow-up afterwards. You need to do some research. You're going to need to be prepared. So when you think about what the value of that hour is, and I think a little bit about why it matters, is there's often so much more that goes into that hour than just what happens within the hour. Right. So you could actually say, well, I'm also making up for all the hours that I put in to get to the point where I am able to facilitate this.
Yeah.
And that someone else would see the value of that. And so it's not just, hey, can you come give us 60 minutes? It's really, can you bring all of what's real for you, all of your knowledge, experience, and perspective to help us move forward? And I think that's so often what we forget. And I think we talked, and I think that's why it matters. I think we talked a little bit about it yesterday is, what do you need to have so that you are able to do whatever needs to be done within the time frame that you actually are going to do it. Right. And, there's the difference between, we talked about someone as a parking attendant. If I'm the flag person who's just, all I'm doing is like, okay, waving my flag, go down until the row is filled. Then I walk down the next step and then I keep waving the flag until.
You sound like you've done this, Tom.
No, but I've watched a lot of people do it.
Okay. I think I found your retirement career.
No, because people
Parking
don't
attendant Tom.
People don't listen, and they just do whatever they want to do. I've been to enough events at athletic fields and other events where people just believe they can do whatever they want to do, whether someone is instructing them or not. So no, I have no desire to do that. Okay. And you're usually standing out. It means you're missing whatever the really good event is.
That's right. Yeah, because you're parking all the people who got there late instead of going to the game.
That's right. And making sure that, when they leave, it all works out. So what they need to bring to that hour, they need some things, and yet they don't need a whole lot.
Right.
So you could say, yeah, well, the value of doing there is, okay, we're going to pay you for the hour because you could be doing something else with that hour. And you don't have to bring a whole lot to the table to be able to fill that role.
And that's not to say that's not an important role in an organization.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's just that
if you can't get the cars parked right, you don't have people at the game and you don't make money.
Yes. And I think that is a big piece of how we try to value the hour is what do we need? And I think this is how we value it matters is what do we need to bring to that hour that we need? Like people could say, all right, every day, Bob and Tom get on and talk blah, 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 blah for 30 minutes. And people could say, well, what's the value of that hour? And for us, we have to bring something to the table. One, there's a little behind the scenes work that we have to do. We have to come up with a topic.
There is?
Well, yes.
That must be your department.
So the difference in values, Bob shows up at 7:56, and which is not true. So there's some stuff that goes into behind the scenes that we have done. We had to do the research to figure out how StreamYard would work to do it live. So what we bring to this is also what's real for us, our knowledge, experience, and perspective, which if we didn't have a lot, it would be hard to have conversations 460 5 times.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to do that means that there are things that we have brought along this. And so there is value. We believe that there's value. I guess others can determine whether they feel there's value or not, whether they choose to watch.
Tom, I want to bring a comment into the discussion. Theo, I hope I said that right, says that's true. She's talking about prioritization and watching for shiny objects, things that can mess up that value of that hour. Because if you're chasing shiny objects, you're probably not maximizing that value of the hour. And by prioritizing what you do in an hour, you're going to achieve the tasks that you need to achieve to move yourself forward, assuming you prioritize effectively.
Sure. And I think that that's, it's interesting. I don't know why this just struck me, because I appreciate that comment and the value that it provides. And I also be like, sometimes if we don't spend some time chasing shiny objects, we might miss out on really good opportunities. And so I think that we have to determine, all right, how much time are we going to spend doing that? And if it really takes us away from it, as the comment suggests, then it's probably not a good use of our time. And yet, since we don't always know where that shiny object could lead, you can see why it become easy to say, hey, I'm only going to take an hour and I'm going to go off and try to chase this shiny object and see what it might lead to. Like bots. Just had to bring that up because it came to mind, and it's been so long since we've talked about bots that bots were a shiny object, kind of like Clubhouse that we chased for a while.
Kind of like what?
Clubhouse.
Yes, we chased. Well, but in that case, we didn't just chase it. We actually took action. We set up a place on Clubhouse and we used it for a couple of weeks, and we got the feedback and came to some realizations along the way that wasn't where our audience typically wants to engage with us.
At least at the moment.
At that moment, correct. And looking at Clubhouse's numbers, we were not alone.
Well, I think that's the thing, is that you sometimes don't know. Going back exactly to your example, is that you don't know. When you made the decision to agree to do this for whatever you thought the value was worth, and that they agreed, you didn't know that something else could come up. And so you're like, well, I guess I could wait for the perfect opportunity. And then you have maybe missed the opportunity because you thought there were other things that could be coming down the road. And I think that that's where we have to really consider, how are we spending the time that we spend? And whether it's, it's funny, we did this as the value of an hour because that's a metric that people understand. And in reality, it's really about the value of every minute or every second.
Right.
Why does it matter that we put a value on that time so that we can be moving closer and closer to something that we're trying to achieve, and understand why we're spending the time doing something that we're doing to hopefully drive something that will benefit us in the long run.
I think it's a fascinating discussion. And the more I think about the value of an hour, the more I realize I undervalue it. In all cases, because, and here's where I fall into a trap, the things that, so much of what I do is easy for me. And I'm blessed in that way. And I've also worked really strategically in the last 5, 6, 7 years to really make the things I do be the things, the things I get paid for are the things I really excel at. I realize that doing things I'm not really good at doesn't inspire me, doesn't motivate me, doesn't get me paid well, doesn't engage with people the way I want to engage with them. So I've really tailored my career now to what really excites me. And so the value of that hour, sometimes I devalue it because I've said to people before, I would do this if I wasn't getting paid. That's how much I enjoy what I do. And I think that makes it hard at times to really value your time, because you're like, I'm just excited to be able to give what I have. I talked to someone who does wood carving and woodwork wood furniture creation and repair. And he said to me, when I retire, I'm just going to keep doing this. This carving and all that. This is what makes me tick. And he said the fact that I get paid to do it and paid handsomely. Custom wood furniture is hard to come by and really expensive. That's not what excites him. What excites him is when he says to the person at the end, here's your piece, and he takes it to their house and installs a big credenza or a big bookcase that fits into a perfect space. And the people just light up. He said, that's what brings me here. Yes, the money's great. Don't get me wrong. I need the money to have the tools and the insurance and all those things. But what he values most for him personally is that moment when they go, oh my God, that's amazing. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Sure.
And so how do you value your hour when what really motivates a lot of people is not money?
Correct.
So we're creating a metric with the value of an hour that, for me, isn't really what motivates me. Yes, I need to make money to be able to do what I do. But if you said to me, Bob, here's a check for X, or Bob, I really appreciate how you came here and really helped us move forward. The second one's the one that I carry with me. The check goes in my wallet and
you don't carry that with you?
I deposit it into the bank when I remember. The comment, I call you and go, Tom, you're not going to believe what this person said.
Well, and I think that's the challenge, right? Is to you, it seems easy. And maybe to someone else, they were like, well, all right, well, how long did it take you? And that's the value they see in it. The value is your time, not maybe your skill or your ability or all the things that you have brought to the table to allow you to complete that. Like, that guy didn't just wake up one day and be like, oh, let me make hand-carved furniture.
No.
Spent a lot of time like whittling, I bet, and doing other things and learning from others. Yeah. And so it's that value that he brings to the hours that he or she, I think you said he, that he brings to being able to complete whatever the project is. And I think so often that is lost sometimes on our customers or clients. They don't, while they want the person who has all the experience, they sometimes don't value what that experience means and why things cost what they cost. And I think there's that's sometimes the missing link of only talking about how much time it takes.
Right.
And not talking about the value that they bring, or on their end, the transformation that is being made. For that person in their house, now they have a piece that fits perfectly, that allows them that their space looks the way they want it. Maybe they're able to store things more effectively and efficiently.
They can enjoy it.
It completely
brings them joy every time they walk in the room.
Sure. So it completely, and it might also make things easier to store, or it fits their TV perfectly.
Or it's something to give their children or grandchildren.
Right. So the value for them is significantly larger, which means they were willing to pay more because they wanted something that was custom made that was going to fit. And I think that's where you talked about it yesterday, is how, finding sort of that perfect marriage between the solutions and value you bring as the seller and the need and return on investment that you bring as the person who's looking for solutions. And I think so often both sides devalue the quote unquote hour because they
undervalue, right?
Yeah. Okay. Undervalue. Yes.
I think that's more clear. I want to jump in, Tom, real quick. Theo says, interesting conversation, value with the hour, ! And also, thank you. So apparently we're tracking with Theo this morning. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. I haven't gotten corrected. But if you have a comment, people, feel free to bring it to us. it makes it so much more. Whoa! Why? There it goes.
I think because I was doing it as well.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think it's that time, Tom. What's your one thing today?
It's interesting because I think as I was literally just sitting here and said, okay, and I always try to go back to what's our topic, the value of an hour, why it matters. And I think this is why I'm struggling with it, is that when I think of value of an hour, it almost disregards all that comes before. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's that finite, you're only
Correct.
looking at that one distinct unit.
Yes.
In and of itself. So like my phone is only my phone.
Correct.
It's not the internet connection to it. It's not the data. It's not the apps. It's not the things I can do. It's just, here's my phone. It's an Apple 10, end of story.
So I think as I wrestle with that in my head, I think it's that the value of an hour is more than just the 60 minutes. And I think that's why it matters, is that there is so much more that goes into what happens in those 60 minutes. And so often we forget that. And I think maybe that's why it matters. It's important to go back and remember that everyone brings what's real for them to that 60-minute time slot, which, if we go back to our equation, it's all of their knowledge, their experience, and their perspective, which they've taken a current lifetime to get to that point, to get to what's real for them. And so I think remembering that the value is more than just 60 minutes. It's all the things that led up to those 60 minutes that increase or that change what the value might look like. If that makes sense.
Right. I like that a lot. And you're going through it now because you're writing a book. And as you write a book, you start to realize how many hours it takes. And people are like, oh, there's your book. Wow, that must have been really great. How long did it take you? You could say 8 months. It could, or a year or 5 years. You could also say a lifetime.
Sure.
Because everything you've done up to this point comes that book. So the value of that book is very hard to evaluate because you're going, it took all this time to get the best words in place to make sense of my argument. You thought about it when you were eating dinner. You thought about it when you were taking a shower. You thought about it when you're watching the football game. And your book's going to be valued at, if you're lucky, $20.
Well, and I think sometimes think about the hours that it takes to physically write the book, correct?
Oh,
when most people think about it, they think about, oh, all right, well, you sat down and how many hours did you take you to type it out or whatever, write it out?
Yeah.
That doesn't incorporate all, as you said, that goes into before that.
Yes. First, I'm really happy I used Thiel's name correctly. I got that right. That I will sleep better. I was really worried that I was going to get that wrong. I'm not going to add anything to your one thing, Tom, because I think it's really strong. And I want people, if you didn't hear it, go back about 2.5 minutes. If you're on the podcast, it's easy. You have that little button, go back 30 seconds, go back 30 seconds, go back 30 seconds, go back one more 30 seconds, and you'll be right there. If you're watching this on video, you can move the little slider over and watch it again. And I'm serious. This discussion is really critical to success in any kind of endeavor because we all think of an hour in different ways.
Sure.
And like I said yesterday, when you can marry what that hour looks like for you and the person you're serving or your team members, hey, I believe in an hour you can accomplish these things. Yeah, Tom, no, that's going to take me 3 hours. What do you mean it's going to take you 3 hours? That should take you 1 hour. No, you forget that to do this, this, and this. Oh, you're right. Okay, now I get why it takes you 3 hours. That's a discussion that in organizations, they don't have a lot. That the timing is dictated from above based on best case scenario.
Sure. And that's why so often I think we have, and I think this is being challenged, and I'm sure this will be part of our discussion, if not this week, next week, is the 9 to 5 workday.
Oh yeah, we're getting there.
There's no doubt that the pandemic has brought that to life, and not to get into that topic because I know we'll talk about it. That I think that is a big part of considering what is the value of an hour. So I won't ruin that. So thanks everyone for joining us today. If you have thoughts or ideas, or you have one thing you'd like to share around the value of an hour and why it matters, please feel free to put it in the comments. If you're listening to the podcast, there is no comment section, and you can go to the Ring of Renegades Facebook group and share your thoughts and ideas there. If you are not yet a member, please feel free to join. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and then ask to join. It is a private group, so all you have to do is ask and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can become a part of that group that is helping one another take their next step along their own unique pathway to success, and be a part of the conversations we have in there that is about moving forward, that is about figuring out where you're at and what you want to do. And it's about connecting with the people in that group who also see themselves as renegades. So we look forward.
Can I add something? There is a comment ability with the podcast. I do it a lot when I'm driving and listening to podcasts. I will exclaim things. That's not, where does he get that? What is he talking about? So you do have that. No one else will hear it, but you are free to comment if you're in your car, if you're going for a walk, if you're exercising. Though if you're on the treadmill or the elliptical machine and you start talking while you have your headphones on to your podcast, that may cause different issues. But I certainly in my car have made comments about not just any podcast, but even ours at times.
Do you often say, Tom, why would you ever say that?
Usually it's, what was I thinking? Why did I say that then?
Fair enough. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It's worth it.
And go try some cotton candy?
No, I don't want to try cotton candy. Ugh.
But it's National Cotton Candy Day.
Where would you find cotton candy today? You're in Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore. Where would you go if you had to find cotton candy?
It's a good question. I might go to the dollar store, one. I might go to, there's an Amish market.
Okay, fair enough.
Away. They might have it. I would order it online. Grubhub, you got to be able to get it somewhere.
Oh.
I might just order it.
What the price per pound is for that?
I don't know, but I might order it and send it to your house.
I won't eat it.
All right, everyone.
All right, see you, everyone.
Have a great day. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.